floor, double team right to the hole. He scores. Chad Baker-Mazara drives to the hole. It doesn't. It gets out of the play. Throws it ahead for Chad Baker-Mazara. Through to the hole. Left-hand hammer.
The Tigers making positive things happen in every intersection.
The Auburn Tigers had 16 quad one wins this year and feature the SEC Coach of the Year in Bruce Pearl. Now the overall 1 seed for this tournament. Coach, we appreciate you joining us live here on the show. I'm just going to open with this. First thought when you saw your bracket in the South and some of the potential really challenging matchups, what was the first thought that crossed your mind?
Well, great to be with you guys tonight. I'm usually the 12 seed, right? I've been a 12 seed my whole life. So, to be the number 1 seed, I'm not very comfortable with this. Or I've been the 8-9, going up against the 1. I recognized what a challenging second game that could be, either against Creighton or against Louisville. We got to take care of business first and win the first game against Alabama State or St. Francis. But it's not going to be a no-brainer getting to the second weekend.
Bruce, it's John. I'm curious. You had a team that went to the Final Four in 2019. You also had a team a couple of years ago that was a 2 seed with Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler. How does this team compare to those two?
The team that went to the Final Four had great guards like my team has this year. But we did not have a dominant frontline scorer like Janai Broome. So I think this team is as good as that Final Four team. I really do. And had a much better regular season, because when you go through the grind of playing 24 games, against 33 different teams are in this tournament, it's incredible. The schedule that we played, and obviously 14 teams coming out of the SEC. Every night's a grind. So to be a champion of that speaks to the fact that we took everybody seriously. We got ourselves right and ready. We didn't overlook anybody. We won every game on the road in the SEC except Texas A&M. And, so obviously, we're prepared. We won't see anybody any better than the Final Four teams that we saw in the SEC tournament in Nashville, in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee. We won't. That's not a knock on anybody else in the South region. It's just that those teams are as good as those teams. Now, we didn't beat Tennessee. We lost to Alabama. So we've got to get our mojo back a little bit, and hopefully that starts in Lexington. Last time we played in Lexington, we beat Kentucky by a couple touchdowns. So I hope that brings out the best. See, when you're the Auburn coach, you got to speak spread based on touchdowns. That's the only way my fans would understand what a 14-point win would be.
Coach, I love it. I don't know where to go with my question because you answered them all in that amazing answer. But I'm going to just go back to you've lost 3 out of 4. I'm not concerned at all. Sometimes you can use that to motivate your team. You've been through the grind of the SEC. You already locked up everything you needed, the overall number 1 seed. How do you get back to playing that dominant basketball again that you played for most of the season?
Wally, I think because we weren't picked to win the league, we were picked in the top 25, but more between 20 and 25. So I think we started the year with a ridiculously difficult schedule, going to Maui, playing Houston at Houston. We got Purdue and Birmingham. We got Ohio State and Atlanta, and a lot to prove. And when you're out there and you're hunting, you're playing with house money. We're supposed to go down to Houston to get beat. Well, we played them an even game, and we're fortunate to make a couple plays and a couple free throws late to actually win the game. I can't fix the fact that we were ranked number 1 in the country for 6 or 7 weeks. I can't change that. And so, I think that, I hope that now losing a couple of games here down the stretch and sort of the way we lost, we missed free throws, we missed layups, we can fix that. And I don't think we were as good to start games defensively. I mean, Tennessee is a great defensive team, but they're not known as being high fly scorers. In the first 5 minutes of our game against Tennessee, they were on pace for 110. So we didn't start very well defensively. These are a couple things that we need to improve on. If we do, then we'll get winning again.
Coach, you mentioned it earlier. Right now, you're probably the most popular sports person in Alabama because that's usually a football state. But you're treading on thin ice, doing it in basketball at a very high level. I will say this. They had a stat that came out that said that, or something that said that your average age was 23 and the Thunder was 24. Speaking to your experience, is that what college basketball is now? Because you guys are so experienced, it's easier to coach them. Is that something that trend is something you're going to continue? And is that what contributed to getting you where you are now?
Well, Chris, obviously being older, being a little stronger, being a little bit more experienced definitely was a factor. And we may be older than OKC, but we're about the seventh oldest team in the SEC because everybody got old. Kind of a combination of a couple of fifth-year transfers out of the portal, and I have guys that have been in the program for 3, 4, and 5 years, and so we're sort of still doing it the old-fashioned way. And of course, next year is going to have to be a complete rebuild and reload. We're always going to try to take a couple of good young players and develop them. Some got a chance to play early, but most need to be developed, and then mix them in with some good guys in the portal. What we've done well in the portal, Chris, I think, is this. I'm really not that interested in somebody else's high major mistake, and I shouldn't call them a mistake. I love guys that have been at mid-major programs and have kind of been on a bus a little bit, that don't have the same kind of pregame meals that we have. They come to Auburn. They get a little different academic support. They get the best strength training, available. We don't eat in a cafeteria. We eat in a wellness kitchen, foods designed for athletes that want to try to be pros. And, the coaching and the expectations, and they're like, wow, this is awesome. This is unbelievable. I'm so glad I'm finally here. I never thought I'd get here. It's sort of my career, and that's one of the things that keeps me humble and hungry. I can't believe I'm the coach at Auburn because I was in D2 for so long, and then I went in sabbatical for a couple of years. You guys remember my sabbatical? Oh, that's right. I got fired. I didn't go on sabbatical. I got fired. And I had to be sitting where you guys sat, for a couple of years. No, but I think that's really been the key. And so you look at Janai Broome from Morehead State, or Denver Jones from Florida International, Chad Baker-Mazara from junior college, Shady Johnson from Division II. Those are the kind of guys that we've gotten out of the portal, and they've all been phenomenal.
Bruce, I remember when I came to Auburn when you were starting to build this program, and we went out to that local establishment, the Hounds, and the guy who put that meal together wasn't on the floor coaching. He was in an administrative role. His name was Todd Golden. He has now become one of the great coaches in college basketball at a very young age. How would you describe the feelings you have watching Todd blossom into what he's blossoming into?
Thanks for the question, John. I'm so proud of Todd. And, when he was my assistant, he and Megan had just got married. And then Megan got pregnant, and they had their first child here. So he was only here for a couple of years. And he became Stephen Pearl's best friend, lifelong friend. And so prior to that, I had coached Todd in 2009 in the USA Maccabi games in Israel. Todd was my point guard, so I got to know him as a player. I got to know his family a little bit. And then when I got back into coaching, he was one of the guys I called first, and because he had been at Columbia. Yep. And it was just unbelievable. I knew that. Brilliant mind, unbelievable competitor. And one of the things that, about Todd was he's a lot tougher than what you think, and his teams obviously play with tremendous toughness. Right now, Florida's playing the best of anybody in college basketball, and I've been saying that for about a month.
Head coach of the Auburn Tigers, always worth the time. We appreciate yours. It is Bruce Pearl. By the way, Coach, our confidential crew from CBS is going to be embedded with you guys, so we want to win some Emmy Awards, so we want really good content coming out of your place, okay?
Well, we've gotten off to a great start with Khalil and her troops.
Yes.
Nobody does it better than she does. And so I just hope that we're around
yes,
for a couple of weeks.
All right.
So we can actually have something worth showing.
Yeah, Khalil and her team, outstanding. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. When we come back, Texas Tech, a 3 seed in the West. Head coach Grant McCasland joins the show right after this short timeout.